Much needed humanitarian aid may begin flowing into Gaza in the next few days. The U.S. military announced they have finished installing a floating pier, which is now anchored to a beach in Gaza. President Biden ordered the construction 2 months ago to help starving Palestinians. Israeli forces have put heavy restrictions on border crossings, which have prevented food and other supplies from getting into Gaza. And for more on this, let's bring in retired Vice Admiral Robert Murrett. He is the Deputy Director at Syracuse University Institute for Security Policy and Law, as well as a Professor of Practice, Public Administration and International Affairs. Quite a long title there. Always great to see you. First, this seems like a very complicated logistical operation. Sir, can you give us some information on how this is going to work?
It's complicated, but I mean, it's complicated for good reasons, given the environment and what we call JLOTS, the Joint Logistics Over the Shore system. I guess just to start with the fundamentals, and as many of you may know, it's basically in 3 parts. It starts with all the logistics hub that we have, which is on Cyprus, there in the Eastern Mediterranean, which is where the warehouses and most of the food and other supplies are being put together for forwarding to Gaza. And also of interest, the Israelis are there to inspect the goods before they leave Cyprus. The second stop is a floating pier, which is a very large pier capable of having fairly large ships alongside, which is around 4 miles or so offshore. It's actually some distance offshore from Gaza. And that is a transfer point for to the third part of this puzzle, which is called a floating causeway pier, which is a causeway that actually goes to the beach, which was anchored earlier today, as you may have seen in the news, which is connected to the shore in Gaza, and some smaller, what are called logistic support vessels shuttle the larger supplies that are on that floating dock, which is around 4 miles offshore, to the floating causeway, and then trucks take it ashore for delivery to others without any U.S. people ashore for relief supplies for Gaza.
Yeah, quite a feat there. A big question on everybody's mind is security. Just last month, 7 workers from World Central Kitchen were killed by Israeli airstrikes. There's also the struggle to keep the aid out of the hands of Hamas. Is there anything the U.S. can do about that?
We won't have anybody ashore to supervise that. It's made it very clear. In fact, I saw another interview with the Deputy Commander of U.S. Central Command earlier today, in which he made it very clear that there will be no U.S. forces ashore. But in that environment, nothing is going to be totally safe. And as you know, U.S. forces have been engaged because of attacks that have taken place for a variety of reasons indirectly related to Gaza. Most recently, about 2 weeks ago, in a furious attack that also involved U.S. ships which are in the Eastern Mediterranean, taking down ballistic missiles which are being fired by the Iranians. So it is a contested environment. I think we're taking all the necessary precautions. I've heard and seen a lot of credible reports that there is security being provided by U.S. personnel, for example, at the floating pier and other locations, but not ashore. So you try to limit exposure as much as you can, but it is, as we say, it's a dangerous place.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on again. We really appreciate it. God bless.
Best wishes.